Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 73 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. So I'm poking around, looking around at some stuff in my environment here, and it's come to my attention that this ManaBean farm is just too slow. It's really not doing as much as I would like it to. ManaBeans kind of got a little bit of a nerf a while back in Thaumcraft in terms of that they grow a lot slower now. So we need to make as efficient as a farm as possible if we really want to utilize the ManaBeans in the way that I want, which is basically to keep all these jars full at all times. So that basically, if I want to, I should be able to set it up so that I can easily do any infusion crafting that I want. Keeping this organized and doing what I want to do with it might be a little bit tricky in the current setup. So I think I'd like to upgrade my ManaBeans as best as I can and, try and be as efficient as possible. And I have actually a new way of farming ManaBeans that I'd like to implement this episode. Well, I guess I have two new ways. One new way and one kind of new way. That's basically the kind of new way is going to be me upgrading this farm to be a bit more efficient. The problem with this farm is that these guys, they're kind of derpy. They look around, they sometimes get stuck. Like right now he's stuck. I think he's trying to get the ManaBean that's on top of one of these. Like if he's trying to get this ManaBean over here, he just kind of derps around and he doesn't really realize that he can't reach it. So there's a few things here that are just slightly, let's say, not efficient. And I'd like to make it as efficient as possible. So why don't I maybe tear down this whole ManaBean farm setup and go with what I can to make it as efficient as possible. Then what I'd like to do, hopefully within the same episode, is start a new way of farming ManaBeans. That's a little bit different from that. And hopefully between the two methods, we should come to a lot of ManaBean production. So let's see what we can come up with. First off, I need to get myself an axe so that I can chop down all the trees that are there, and there's a couple other things I'd like to craft. One or two of them I've crafted in the past, so I'm going to do a little bit of crafting work off camera here, and then I'll come back to implement the new plan. Sound good? Alright, see you guys in a moment. Alright guys, the first thing I'm cooking up right here is a nifty little gadget that's going to help me out. So this is actually going to help quite a bit, I think, with regards to the ManaBean efficiency, especially with how it gets stuck sometimes just sitting up on the walls and on top of other ManaBeans and all this other stuff. There we go, got myself a wand focus telekinesis, so that's the first step. Now what I'm making here is something that's going to help us out with the collecting of these things. Remember I made the corporeal attractor to pull all the wither skeletons towards the block, and it has a range of about 7.5 blocks when fully powered? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to make, but I'm going to make the item version, which is the kinetic attractor. So this is one of the blocks that can have kind of the furthest reach for item sucking. There might be a couple others that have a little bit of a reach, but this one's pretty darn good. So I'm going to need a couple iron, an air and earth shard, and some great wood logs. So I think I just need an earth shard. I think I've got the rest. Let's see here. Let's just get ourselves an earth shard. And we should be in good shape. So let's see, this guy goes here, a couple pieces of iron, air and earth shard, and a couple great wood logs, which I'm pretty sure I've got in here. There we go. Just need to put some V in there, and we've got the kinetic attractor. Nice. So that's what I'm looking towards getting. So let's go upstairs and see how we're going to use this thing. Alright, we should probably do that and clean up my inventory for a moment. Always have extra stuff, remember? Alright, so that's pretty good. So you can see I've cleaned up the farm up here. And what I'll do is measure out kind of from the center of this block area. So I'm going to want to move this ender chest. And let's see, I should have measuring tape. So if this thing has a range of about 7.5 blocks, we should go about 7. So we're actually like ideally suited here. If we were to probably consider putting, So yeah, if this is 7 blocks, let's say that I wanted to put the ManaBeans like so. If I just put that there, well, yeah, that's kind of a problem because that's going to be, let's see, if I go out to like here, what's the click? Absolute measurement mode, that's right. That's 9 blocks, right? So we'll probably want to get them to about here. Alright, so if we put them like that, that should be good. So the test really is to see, we probably won't want anything here. So our test will be, hey, is this where we want it to be? And this is probably the exact wrong axe to use right now, but that's okay. So let's get some ManaBeans and see how well this goes. And remember, when you plant ManaBeans and harvest them, they're different usually. So, or when they grow fully, I mean, you'll get different ones. So I'm just going to grab these guys and kind of stick these right here like so. So that'll look pretty good. I forget, is this set up so that you can shift it and it won't? Yeah, nice. Do that weird thing. Okay. So now if we stick the kinetic attractor right here, let's say, and you're going to want to give it as strong a redstone signal as possible. So I'm just going to go with a fully fledged lever. On the right block, of course. There we go, now we're attracting. And so let's say that this block got harvested, right? The test is, will that actually reach and hit? Nice, that's what I wanted to see. So from that range, yes it will. Now the question is, what if we pulled this back just a little bit? See how cool that is? I like that quite a bit, actually. So what if we just bumped it back one and we had this kind of like this, maybe? Just want to make sure, like I said, that, you know, as far a range as possible that this fits and works. Ooh, that actually does kind of work. That's not bad at all. That's nice, right? So yeah, let's do that. If that's going to work, then that's going to work for me. So what I'm going to basically have set up here is just a farm like this. And with ManaBeans just planted straight across here. So this is just going to be a more efficient ManaBean farm in the end. Now, hopefully these things, I'm pretty sure they have a range listed in the book. Let's just double check. I want to make sure that the ManaBeans are actually within range of the lamps of growth. So, yeah. Any plants where grow and its light shines. Okay. Just want to make sure that the lamp of growth is hitting it. I might need to come up with a slightly different design for the lamps of growth. We'll see. All right, let me poke around and just test this out a little bit with the lamp of growth radius, and then we'll be back. All right, guys, I think I'm adjusting this one more time because I remembered that the lamp of growth, I'm pretty sure it's a 6-block radius. And so for that to work, we're going to want it to be about here. This should do what we want it to do with a 6-block radius, like so. So if we take a look, for example, if we put a ManaBean like right here, which is kind of the furthest distance from here, we'll see that it's a measurement of 6. So this should work. We're just gonna have to kind of keep an eye on it, but worst case, I mean, it'll be pretty close. It might not catch the exact outer edges, but that's fine. So again, gonna just build this out. So we're about 1 block away from the outer edge there of the little area that I built. So already we have a lot more wood that we need, so that's a good sign, because it means we're definitely going to have more ManaBeans in this area. So let me just get another stack of wood. That should be plenty. So this should be a pretty efficient design, like I said. Now the kinetic attractor won't actually collect the items, so what we're going to want to do is put the golem there, and then the golem will pick up the items that the kinetic attractor pulls in. That'll mean that the golem that's actually doing the collecting will have a lot less movement to do and won't get stuck on blocks. Cool, right? So that's there. We're going to have this chest here again. We'll probably put this back here. Nice. We'll put this guy here with Mr. Gather Golem right there. And then it's just a matter of some ManaBeans. So of course you can't double off the corners there, but that's fine. Now we do have the Magnum torch here, so we shouldn't have any problems with mob spawning, but I do want to just double check F7 real quick. One little spot, of course. Let's just light up on top here like that. That ought to do. Just to make sure we're well covered. Okay. So this, did I miscalculate something here? Looks like I'm off a little bit. Alright, let me fix this. There we go, that looks pretty nice, right? So basically, oh, it looks like we're already getting some good amount of growth here. So that's actually a really good sign. I might even want to throw 2 more of the auto growers on there. So the last thing to do, of course, is get the harvest golem out. His job is just going to kind of be to stand here and harvest anything nearby. Awesome. So we're already getting some growth. I think this is definitely a better farm. Look at that, perfect. He knocked it off. This guy grabbed it as it got pulled over. No more getting stuck, no more issues. I might even want to grab 2 more lamps of growth because we do have plenty of herba going on here. So if I had 2 more lamps of growth, really kind of would speed that up even more than it already is. You know what, that actually occurs to me. I wonder if the sigil stand here would actually help as well. Should I give that a try? Let's take a look at the Ars Magica book, because I'm kind of like looking to see like what are all the different things that we could do to make this thing work. Let's see, where are those sigil stand things? I think it's under blocks. Sigils. Magic sigils. Alright, sigil of nature's bounty. Cool. I'm going to see about that. Let me double check. So there's something else I'd like to try. I'm actually going to go grab a safari net. Do I have a reusable empty one? Yes. Cool. 1 empty safari net ready to go. And I'm going to run over to this magical forest biome that's not too far away from my house. And I'll be back in just a few minutes once I find what I'm looking for. Oh, hey, I found one. Hello, sir. Mr. Peck. Entity.peck.name. Hooray! The Peck Foragers, as we know from Thaumcraft, drop a bunch of different neat stuff, and you can actually trade with them if you want, but you can kill them, if you're interested in doing such a thing, and manage to get yourself something very useful. There's a couple nifty, unique drops that they create and give to you, but the more important thing is they actually drop mana beans as well. So what I'm thinking is, let's throw it into the auto spawner and see how efficient the mana bean farm thing is. All I gotta do is open my door and change the Enderman auto spawner and drop in the Peck Forager one, right? Now to go and make this a little bit easier to figure out how well this will work, I'm going to go ahead and put an upgrade up here, which will be a filing cabinet. So I just want to keep track of exactly what's in there. Now, this guy will only allow items to go in to the filing cabinet. And what I would want to do then also is give this guy the green vacuum mode, which means that this should be a first priority to drop items into. But it should, because it's a filing cabinet, only allow mana beans to go in here. So only mana beans will go here first. At least that's kind of the plan. So we're going to let that sit. And I think all we need to do then is close the door, activate what's labeled Enderman, but is actually the Peck Forager spawner now, and let this guy rip. So let's give this guy a few minutes and see what kind of good stuff we can get out of it. Keep in mind, by the way, there's a couple other things that Peck Foragers do drop, and there's some cool stuff that you can get from them. So go grinders, go. Cool. And what we should wind up seeing here, if we switch into bat mode, are some mana beans sifting their way directly into... Oh, look at that. We already got 3 mana beans. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. I'm thinking just a little bit of mana bean magic, and we'll have a decent amount of this stuff. So what I'm going to actually wind up doing then is adding a thing here to pull the mana beans out of the filing cabinet or something like that. I'll just export mana beans, or I'll set a thing here for mana beans with a pneumatic servo. You know what else I could do? I think because mana beans are all the same item, really, I just want to say, like, pneumatic servo, give me one of these guys. I'm going to try this with a chest and just make sure that it actually works. Because if it does, then I can just replace this chest with an ender chest and be pretty much done deal, right? So let's get all these mana beans out of here. I'm just going to turn this off for a moment. Oh my goodness, there's so many mana beans. Just put them in here for now. So let's do something like, we'll put a chest here, and then I just need to install this guy and say whitelist, ManaBeans, ignore metadata, even though I think they're all the same metadata, so it doesn't really matter. Ignore NBT. So any type of ManaBean should be allowed in here, and that should be cool. So now if we, what I'm actually going to do is flip this and flip this. And what we'll see then is, hopefully, only ManaBeans will filter into the chest here, and everything else will still filter into here appropriately. So we'll still be getting items, but I just want to make sure that with everything configured correctly, we'll get everything we want to get. So ManaBeans should vacuum into here as a whitelist, but every other item should go into the ME system still, the subnetwork. So I'm just kind of watching for items to show up. So yeah, see, all kinds of items are flowing in there, but all kinds of ManaBeans are flowing up into here. Perfect. That's what I wanted to see. Nice. So then it's just a matter of replacing this guy with the same ender chest that we have at the ManaBean farm, and we should have a pretty solid ManaBean production. So let me get another ender chest real quick. That almost looks like the same color code. No, it's green. I think I used blue at the ManaBean farm, right? Pretty sure, yeah, white, blue, white. Cool. So I just need a piece of lapis and I'll be good. So how many ManaBeans do I have already? Good question. A lot. There we are. And I'll just put all the ManaBeans in here, and we'll be good to go. Oh, ManaBeans, you're so far away. Come back to me. So that's cool, right? Yeah, I think that's a pretty nice setup. So we'll leave this be for a little bit, make sure it's doing what we want it to do. Awesome. And we're in good shape, guys. So let's let this run, and we'll just kind of see between the new farm and the peck forager thingy, we should have a solid amount of ManaBeans going. And I'll leave the dark room going so that we keep up with the mob essence production. Because believe it or not, we are kind of low on this mob essence stuff. It's not terribly easy to get a lot of that, so leaving the dark room running at the same time as the peck foragers should kind of keep it well balanced. And just ManaBean after ManaBean coming in this way. And coming in this way. Oh, Azenor is going to kill me, by the way. He told me one time, he's like, I never really expected ManaBeans to be used like as the sole purpose of filling the aspect jars. You guys are terrible. And I'm like, well, yeah. But they work so well because they're exactly one aspect of one type of aspect each. So it's like the perfect thing to fill those jars with. So having all these ManaBeans is just ideal. So the two farms going here, this guy, which is running perfectly, it looks like. See how my golems aren't getting stuck anymore? It's a nice size. We actually have more beans in place than we did before. So it's a really, really well built little design, I think. If I really wanted to go crazy, nah, I think we're good. I think it's perfect. All right, we'll be back. Alright guys, there's one more thing I want to try. I'm not sure if the sigils from Ars Magica will affect the ManaBeans or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky. So let's just grab a pair of sigil stands, and there's one other thing I'd like to get, and that's the gold inlay. Let's go ahead and do this. Oh, you know what I need to get is some purified Vintium dust. I think I need to get a couple arcane essences. I never taught my system how to make this, did I? It's alright, I'll just get a bunch of these and that'll be fine for now. You can go in there. Let's get some purified Vintium dust. 1, 2, 3. I guess we'll see if that's enough. Gold inlay. Don't know if it will be. We might need another one, which means I need to get some more of those flowers, the Ars Magica flowers, but we'll try this out and just see. I'm not sure if it's really going to help too much, but it's worth a shot. So what this thing does is we're going to put this guy down here, and we're going to put the Sigil of Nature's Bounty on, and that's going to kind of hopefully increase the speed at which stuff grows a little bit. Now, its radius by default, I think I want to say is 4. blocks, right? Yeah, 4 blocks in any direction. But it can expand it to 6, 8, and 10 blocks by surrounding the stand with redstone, iron, or gold inlay. So, if I were to grab my measure, just check how far this is from something like back here, that's a radius of 8. Alright, so I could probably go with, I don't have to go with the gold, I could do with the iron. So maybe I'll go with the iron inlay. Just see how it goes. It's one of those things that's a little tricky to test. I'm not even entirely sure that it'll work. Hopefully you guys don't have any problems navigating this thing. So if we surround this guy like that, it should increase his range. And this is true for all the inlays that, or all the sigils pretty much. Or most of them at least. I think you can increase their range. There we go. So you guys won't have any problem navigating that, right? That looks kind of cool, too. Neat. So they may or may not affect the ManaBean growth. We'll find out. Well, we probably won't find out. I'll never know. Because the 4 of these guys are making them grow a lot quicker. These guys might boost it, it might not. But you know what? It's pretty cheap to make the sigils here. So I figured let's just throw them in there. And if they help, they help. And if they don't, they don't. If I really wanted to go crazy, I could have another set right here. But I don't think that's necessary. I think we'll just leave it as is. Cool, guys. All right, so this ManaBean farm should be producing large amounts of ManaBeans for us. And the golems do not appear to have any trouble walking over the inlays. So I think we're in good shape. Okay guys, we're back, and I've been doing a lot of work off camera, maybe like 2 hours worth of work, to figure out something that I think is going to be really, really cool. So let's get our stuff moved around here, because we need to rearrange the way some things are working. Come here, you guys. Want all this stuff. This will continue to build up its inventory, so that's fine. Let me out of here. Okay, there we go. Much better. So I've got my ender chest ready. We're probably going to need... Gotcha. And you. Cool. And I'll probably want to request just a few hardened energy conduits. There we go. Cool. So, I've got, let's call it a little bit of a crazy plan going on here. Oh, there's 1 or 2 more things I'll need, but that's okay. I'll get to them. Boy, oh boy, do I have a lot of junk. I have a plan to do something that should hopefully be really cool. Like I said already, I think, maybe. It's going to make for some serious automation regarding Thaumcraft. In previous episodes of Forgecraft, you've seen me do some automation with Thaumcraft aspects. I'd like to do something similar, but I'd also like to do something more efficient, and that's what I've pretty much come up with. So we're going to get started working on a bit of a plan here. I think stage 1 of this plan will have to be that we need to implement a fully fledged applied energistic system back here. So that's why I've got an ME controller ready to run. So we'll pop this guy down right here. We'll pop the ME chest behind him. We'll stick the 16K storage thing in there. We've got our item duct with this guy ready to go, back up and running. So we can hook this, 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 that, and ignore redstone. Cool. So that will be able to run into there. Of course, once we've got power running over to this thing, that's what the hardened energy conduits are for. Let's go into bat mode, because it'll probably be easier to do this as a bat. At least that's what I think. I just make a mess everywhere, don't mind me. Alright, straight over to here. I'm pretty excited about this build, in case you couldn't tell. That's what I'm looking for, right there. Perfect. That should connect to that, which should give me power online. Hooray! We have access to our stuff, and now this chest is emptying. It's a little bit of backlog that had accumulated while we were waiting for stuff. So, what's the plan? Well, I'm going to start implementing it this episode, and then we're going to come back next episode and finish it, which is, not... Didn't I just have power on this thing? What's going on here? Offline. Why are you offline? Oh, right. Probably because I removed the Tesseract. You know what? I could probably just have the Tesseract stay here. That wouldn't hurt, right? There we go. Back online, and everybody's happy. And as a matter of fact, maybe I'll just pick this guy up and face him this way so I can see the power meter without having to worry too much about it. All right, cool. So, couple things to note. First off, I'm going to build a nifty little system using logistics pipes, okay? Let's take a look. So for this to work, we're actually going to need, real quick, to run over here. Logistics power junction. Doesn't look so hard to make. Cool. And why don't I just grab a logistics pipe just in case I need a basic one or two. This is really going to be a pretty small system. So let's see. I'm going to build this as efficiently as possible. I'm going to do my best. I should be able to place the power junction here, which means I'll just need to run a little bit of power. There we go. So he's storing up his power. And what I want to do is, well, you know what? No, I want to move this over one. Because what I want to have here is an interface. So remember, we've done interactions between these two mods in the past, and we said if you have an interface, you should be able to access all the items from within an applied logistics system using logistics pipes. So that's what I want to do as stage one of this build, so that I can do the following. If I put a provider pipe, which I've got available right here for me, and you can see it's got power because it's hooked up to the junction, or at least maybe it should, I don't know, we'll see. And then we'll put a request pipe here. Everybody should be happy. So what I can do is open up the request pipe, and we'll see we have access to all the ManaBeans, right? Awesome. Let's do something real quick. This will be easier to see. Cool, right? So if I want to request some ITER, I can just hit that button, and boom, it requests ITER, and it starts cooking it up, and then we've got ITER in the system, and yada, yada, yada. So we're ready to then get that ITER out of here. See, there it is. Perfect. So I'm just going to empty that real quick because I don't really need it. So that's phase one of this plan. So now I can access, using logistics pipes, all this cool stuff. Now, why would I go through the trouble of doing that when I can easily just do it with a applied logistics export bus or something along those lines? Well, let me show you. I've got a turtle in my inventory, and take my word for it, there's a really good reason. So let's run a test program real quick. So Computercraft and logistics pipes interact pretty well. Logistics pipes build a whole bunch of code so that it can communicate with Computercraft. Now, the really important piece of this information is that Computercraft, using logistics pipes, can read the NBT data on an item. And ManaBeans store the type of ManaBean that they are in NBT data. So, let me show you what I mean by this. If we were to do the following, let me write a quick piece of code real quick, and then I'll explain how it works. All right, so the first thing to note about the way this works is we're going to get available items. And what that function does is it gets all the available items that the logistics pipe network communicates with. Now, it's only got access to the aspects in the chest here, right? The little ManaBeans. So when we run this program, what happens is it spits out a number, 1 through 51, and remember there's 51 types of ManaBeans, so we know we've got something working correctly here, and it spits out what's called a unique identifier, which is this first number here. So this number represents one of the ManaBean types, and the next number here, 128, represents how many there are. So we know we have 128 of something in this chest. If we look in here, there should be something that we have 128 of. Yeah, there's a couple, Tempest and Aurum, it looks like. Cool. So we know for a fact that we have a couple different types. So we have 454 of some type of ManaBean in the chest. So 454 should be a number that we have. So that's probably Ignis, just based on the fact that it tells us how many we have of it. So that's the first thing we're doing. We're getting a list of all the items in the applied energistics system utilizing logistics pipes. Okay. Now the next piece of code we write is going to be pretty important. And what this is, it's going to store some information in the data2 variable. And I'm getting NBT tag compound. And what this is going to do is you have to pass this information. We have to pass that function that unique identifier number. So like this 151106, whatever that is, right? So that's why I'm using the bracket 1 information there. And what this is going to do is it's going to get the NBT data that's stored on that particular bean. And it's going through all of them. That's why we're doing this for loop. We're going through every single item, and we're getting the NBT tag on each piece of item here. And then this is the part that's really complicated, and it took me a long time to figure out because of the way the NBT data was stored. So you're just going to have to take for granted that this is going to work. So we want to get the value, aspects, value, and capitalization counts here, guys. 1, value, key, value. Don't ask me anything about why that works. It's the way NBT data is stored behind the scenes, I think. But if we now run test, ta-da, look at that. We're getting information about which aspect is on which. So we can see that slot 49, whatever that is, there's 140 of them, and the aspect is arbor. So if we go look at whatever is 140, which is somewhere right here, we should have 140 arbor. Nice. And we can see the same thing with, for example, Fabrico. We've got 175 Fabrico. So that's 175. So the reason I'm doing this is now we have a way to go ahead and figure out exactly which aspects are in which slots. And we have the unique item identifier. And what's exciting about that is that now we can pass that information to a function called get item, I think, or something like that. Now for demonstration purposes, I don't want to actually smelt up the item that I get, so I'm just going to throw a chest here. Oh good, I can open it. So here's the function that we want to call. We want to call make request. So what I did real quick was I created a table called aspects, and I stored in the first table information the actual name of the aspect, so instrumentum, for example, right? And then I set that to equal the actual slot number, which is 51 or 49, whatever. Now this next function called p.makeRequest is going to take that aspect name. So let's say I wanted to get instrumentum. I could say get instrumentum and get 15 of them. So this one line here is actually going to request 15 ManaBeans with the instrumentum aspect. Let's give it a test. Ta-da! Instrumentum. Ha! How cool is that? So really simple basic code. Well, okay, I'm lying. Not very simple, but a small amount of code. Let's say that. It's a short piece of code. But and most of this is just printing out information. Like we don't even need these lines anymore. We don't need this, and we don't need this, and we technically don't even need this one. So all this code right here is what's needed to get a list of all the aspects in the system and store them in a variable for easy requesting. So what I want to do coming up is automate aspects going into the alchemical furnace. So I think that's what we're going to want to focus on next episode. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up. When we come back next time, I want to build a similar to what I built on ForgeCraft, though not exactly the same, because I like to kind of, I like to not totally duplicate things. And trust me, at the very least, we're making this infinitely more efficient because of access to logistics pipes, which we didn't have on ForgeCraft. So it's pretty, different as it is already. In fact, I probably might want to leave this open because I'm going to have a computer craft monitor here, I think, that's going to allow me to feed ManaBeans into the crucible or into the furnace there, cook them up, we'll put our golem back. We've still got him hanging out there, the alchemy golem, and he's going to be able to run around and do whatever we need him to do. I might try and make this a little bit easier for him to navigate. And, there's a couple other things we might want to work on just to, make this a really neat and efficient system. So ideally, what's going to happen then is the golem will be able to fill up all the jars and do all this kind of cool stuff. We'll automate everything with computer craft and logistics pipes and applied energistics. And what we'll eventually have is easily automated Thaumcraft aspect jar refilling. even better, hopefully, than the system that I built on Forgecraft, if you guys watch that. I know not everybody watches both series. Some people only watch one, some people watch the other. So this is, going to be pretty cool. And of course, you'll have this available in a world download once we get up to level or episode 80, and then you guys will be able to start messing around with this in the world download and see exactly how it works if you had trouble following along in the video here. So for now, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will be doing all kinds of other cool stuff with this system next episode, but for now, at the very least, we can request a specific aspect of ManaBean, and it will pull it in exactly however we want. And it works beautifully so far. So next episode, like I said, we'll probably need to read data out of these jars, and that will be pretty similar to the way I did it on Forgecraft, because there's only one way to do that. There's only one, so I have to do it the same way I did it before. But, it's going to be new, or at least interesting for those of you who didn't see that. But I won't spend too much time on it, because like I said, it is a little bit of repeat content, so I'll kind of just breeze through it really quickly, and then we'll have a nice system down here for automation. And then once we're done with some of the Thaumcraft stuff we've got going on, we're going to have other things we're going to want to work on. So lots more to do. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Direwolf20 signing off. Take it easy.